Hi, I'm Max. This is Chainsaw Addiction. Sometimes you run into a situation with a tree where maybe the tree is leaning more than you feel comfortable overcoming with wedges. Maybe you're not sure if the tree is structurally sound enough to go the direction that you want it to with just a hinge. Sometimes you need an extra helping hand, right? So you can do that with, with ropes. Wedges are part of that equation too, wedgemanship. Something that I use quite a bit here, and it's just because I have it available to me, is a chainsaw winch. And it can be extremely handy. It is basically just a small top handle. This is an Echo 330T that is hooked up to a mechanically driven drum winch. And it has a lot more power than me pulling a rope. Alright, so there's some basic controls to know about on this type of chainsaw winch. First of all, it's a winch, right? So right now, the clutch is engaged and you cannot pull on the line. It will capture any progress that you've made. So if you're revving on it and pulling up slack or pulling tension in, it will hold it when you let off of the throttle, okay? Then there's a slip function. And this is really nice if you're trying to just pull out a little bit of line, but you can see this plastic drum here, you rotate it and it will come out a little bit at a time. And then it still locks in place. And then last, of course, you can disengage the clutch. And that's this big lever right here. And now it 100% free spools. There's a grease zerk here on the front, there's a grease zerk on the side. That's basic maintenance stuff. And then other than that, it's mostly just a chainsaw. So with any piece of equipment, it is important to check it over before you use it very much. Now, the stuff that we use on a more regular basis, we get a little bit lazy on checking it over and doing basic maintenance, but also we use it enough that we'll probably notice if there's anything starting to go haywire with it. If the air filter's plugged up and it's starting to run a little rich, you'll kind of notice that if you run a saw on a regular basis. This guy, on the other hand, we don't use it very often. So I'm just gonna go over the quick maintenance items. I always check the air filter on anything that I haven't run in a while. And you can see this air filter looks pretty much brand new. Probably a side effect of this thing not creating sawdust. And then we did grease the zerks on the drum. Now, this thing is kind of awkward to add fuel to. It's also really heavy for a low top handle, but the fuel cap is right here, and you've got to kind of get in there. There we go. Only spilled a lot. Perfect. Now, it is important to note that on a chainsaw winch, at least of this variety, I think all of them though, you do not use bar and chain oil. If you put it in there, it'll just go everywhere. It'll ruin your belt. They're not designed to be using bar and chain oil. They use the grease zerks on the drum to lubricate the drum, and you don't really want to lube a rubber belt that runs the clutch itself. Other than that, it's just a chainsaw. Alright, now we're going to fire this thing up, make sure it still runs good. I don't know how cold this thing is. Danny, where was this thing stored?
Oh, it was outside in the van.
Outside in the van, perfect. So it's probably about 20 degrees. So we'll put the choke on and just see how it goes. You do want to make sure on these chainsaw winches that the clutch is disengaged when you try and start it for the first time, especially if it's got a high idle function like most saws do, because it'll try and burn the clutch up. bring the cable in. Alright, now a tool like this is fantastic, but on its own it's pretty much useless. So let's see what else Danny brought us. Got probably 30 feet of synthetic winch line. Another probably 30 feet of synthetic winch line, which is great. We've got a couple of blocks. Probably another 30 feet of synthetic winch line. Another block. This is a nice strap for attaching either the winch itself or a pulley or a block to a tree. Another couple of nice blocks, perfect. And some winch line gloves. That should do it. And the last part of the chainsaw winch equation is throw line. We've got to be able to get that winch line up in the tree somewhere. So this is silk throw line, rated for 218 pounds. And then I've got a couple of these weighted throw balls from Wesper. Okay, I'm going to fire this thing up. We're going to take some of the slack out of the line here. This is Max. That was a quick cut. If you'd like to see the longer cut, just check out my channel.